Political panel time. Isn't it exciting? Well, it is for me. Let me introduce them to you. Republican strategist Erin Maguire, Democratic strategist and Kanninen. Great to have you both. Iron rule of this program. If I go to it before break, we talk about it first. Let me play Mick Jagger. Who's Mitch? I have no idea. Talking to the New York Times about what he thinks his role is in the larger conversation about entertainment and politics. Play it.
My job in the live music world is just those people that come is to have the best time they possibly can, and for 2 hours or whatever it is, to forget all their problems and the problems of the world and their mortgages and their whatever, and you don't want to lecture them.
Meaning you don't want to be Bruce Springsteen, I think is what he's getting at. I think that's a little shade there. This goes back to the shut up and play idea about either athletes, artists, anyone who are not in the political arena, stay out of it. Dan?
Well, in the same interview, though, Major, he talked about how he likes to embed maybe a line or two about social commentary and politics.
Put it in the song.
Not the whole song.
Put it in the song,
Put it in the song. And I'm from Duluth, Minnesota, nearby where Bob Dylan grew up, and The Hurricane and so many other songs that had that embedded throughout that sort of storytelling. That's a great way to do it. I think he's probably right that people don't want to have politics encroach on every single moment of their lives. But you can do it in a way that has social commentary woven into the art, and that's pretty appropriate.
Erin?
Well, it's the more old Michael Jordanism, right? Republicans buy sneakers, too. You don't want to alienate the opportunity for half your audience to enjoy you when you're trying to make a political statement. And we've seen where entertainers and businesses and those not in the political sphere, when they've stepped into lecture or ad commentary, they've gotten themselves in more trouble than they have to help. And I will counter this, though. When it came to getting younger voters involved in the 90s, Rock the Vote, things like that were a great way to bring in voters from the outside that would not normally be involved. So while they're not lecturing, they're getting involved to help turn out the vote.
You like rock and roll music, you might like to vote.
Vote. Yes.
That's a little gentler and less lectury, I think. So it was an interesting day in the Michigan Senate race, which is, I think, emerging as the most closely watched Senate primary on the Democratic side, August 4th. So Gary Peters, who's no longer seeking re-election, the incumbent but outgoing senator, endorsed Haley Stevens.
Yes.
Representative Ilhan Omar endorsed Abdul El Sayed, the progressive challenger to Haley Stevens. Dan, break this race down for me.
Well, in some ways, neither of those endorsements are all that surprising, although Peters endorsing as a senator leaving his seat is pretty rare. Right. But it's sort of the establishment around Stevens, and it's the DSA kind of convergence around
and the progressive, yes.
And the progressives. And in Minnesota, by the way, mirror image of this race with Peggy Flanagan and Angie Craig, sort of the same kind of dynamic there. I think the question is going to be, can the enthusiasm that El Sayed's creating, and he clearly is creating some, but he's got some very difficult positions that I think voters understand will be tough in a general election environment. The defund the police comments are really difficult. There's not a very good answer for that. The Medicare for All argument kind of falls flat with voters once they learn that means they're losing your insurance and have to go into a government program. And
there are real costs associated with it.
And there are costs, which he's not really having a great time articulating. I'm not sure how much this question on like the fight agency and the same consultants with Plattner and El Sayed is going to come into play, but it very well could in terms of vetting. Stevens, meanwhile, kind of the base Democratic voter who is not left flank. The base Democratic voter, the most solid part of our coalition, are really a 60-year-old black woman. They're more conservative. They want security. They want safety. They want jobs. They want someone dependable. Stevens has been that. I tend to think that she will come out of this, but it's going to be close.
Erin?
Yeah, the statistical tie in this race is one you haven't seen with a lot of these Democrat socialist candidates that have really surged ahead so far. So I do think it speaks to really that purple nature you see in Michigan, and even the flexibility within the Democrat Party to split the vote right now. We saw previously, and Senator Gary Peters offering his endorsement, he did lose 3 seats as the DSCC chair, the Democrat Senatorial Committee chair arm. So the institutional part is, oh, I had to. Are you kidding me? Had to. That institutional part of it could come back and bite her more because it was so unsuccessful. And are you going to double down on what has not worked versus the new fresh flavor of the month, which is socialism for Democrats?
Yeah, so this goes back to a conversation Republicans had in 2010 when they had a lot of enthusiasm at the activist level, but they didn't have voters who honestly thought about Senate campaigns and primaries strategically, lost a lot of races that were probably winnable because they didn't have someone in the end who was a nominee who could win a statewide race. We'll see if that plays out in Michigan and a parallel circumstance in Minnesota. Dan, Erin, great to have you with us. I appreciate it very much.